أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. So we started a journey, I think it has been 4 weeks or so. We were studying the very second page of Quran, as Quran was introducing itself as this is the book, thereof there is no doubt, a guidance to those who are God conscious. And we started studying from here, first talking about what is the book. The question was, what's a book? Do I even expect a book? That at the very opening, it's starting to talk about the book as if I'm expecting some sort of a book. And then further, it was saying that it's a book upon which there is no doubt. What does that mean? For something to be undoubtable, there should be a way for me to verify it. This is what we discussed afterwards. And then it was saying that it is guidance. Next thing we talked about was about guidance. So what is guidance was our question. This was the second week that we discussed about this. We were talking about guidance. Like it wouldn't be a guidance if I tell where your dorm is, right, in class, because you already know where the dorm is. So it must be something about that I do not know, and I'm not able to figure out by myself. Number two, it needs to be relevant. These were the things we talked about, what it means to be guidance. Otherwise, I wouldn't call it guidance. And then we talked about muttaqin. This was week 3. So it was saying that the book in here is saying that this is a guidance for muttaqin. And when we talk about muttaqin, we gave a metaphor saying that normally it means conscious. But we talked about consciousness at 3 levels. The first one was, we gave the example of a student. So a student in the school first needs to be conscious of them being a student. Because simply having a student ID doesn't make you automatically a student. So you need to be in the proper mindset of a student. So are you conscious of who you are? Number 2, are you conscious of the teacher that is teaching to you? Like being teacher conscious. Otherwise, if you don't take the teacher serious, or if you feel like you know more than the teacher, like these are the things that will definitely hinder your learning. And then the third one was, are you conscious of the university environment in which you are expected to learn? Meaning, are you making good use of the resources that are given to you? Like these levels of consciousness makes you truly benefit from the school. Like whatever is being presented to you in the school becomes guidance to the extent that you are having these 3 levels of consciousness, right? Then once we apply it to the revelation, we said that, are you conscious of yourself as a proper human being? Why are you here? What's the point? Number 2, are you conscious of your maker? To what extent are you conscious of your maker? If you are thinking that you happen to be by chance, for example, chance is your maker, then you will interpret events as such. But if you feel like, no, whomever is making me must be the one that's making everybody else in the room, must be the one who is moving the sun over there, moon over there, and the whole universe, then definitely it's going to start speaking different to you. The same text is going to speak different to you. And of course, the third one is the school environment that you're in. Are you conscious of it as a material of instruction? Because in this life, things are happening. The school is the life itself with all its components. How much am I conscious that these events are happening as instructional tools? If I say that, well, occasionally instructional things happen, such as people are sometimes expecting extraordinary dreams, for example, saying that, oh, this is a revelation. Then for them, only this much of it is instruction, only those extraordinary dreams. But to the extent that I realized that no, the school environment is the life itself, and everything in here is placed in my life accordingly, like having a small kid who is having asthma. Like this is something purposefully included in my life for me to receive some sort of a guidance. If I see it as such, then things will start changing. So these were the three when it comes to muttaqin. Okay. Then it will start detailing what it means muttaqin. This was the initial level of understanding. Last week we talked about belief in the unseen. So it says, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. They are those who believe in the unseen. Very briefly, we talked about the distinction between the wishy-washy word belief in English versus the Quranic term iman. The word iman in here, the way now Quran uses it, means having certainty, being thoroughly convinced. Our example was, if you see this piece of art here, you haven't seen its artist, but the moment you see it and you see that it is purposefully and artistically written, you say that there must, if this exists, then there definitely must exist a conscious being who made this. The one who made it is inaccessible to you, yet you're sure that such a thing, such a one must exist. You're certain about this. So belief in the unseen is, I do observe this life, but I'm not able to explain the life in and of itself. Being convinced that there must be something beyond this is belief in the unseen. And I can be sure about that. It's not like a leap of faith. It is just like if you see a person, the example we gave was like killed, the first question you ask is, you will check if the person committed suicide. If you feel like it's not explainable in and of itself, meaning it doesn't, then you're sure that somebody must have killed it. Who? You will explore further, but you're 100% sure somebody must have done this, right? So this was belief in the unseen. Now we come to the next phase. And again, all these are now defining that the book is going to be a guidance for those who believe in the unseen. And now it's going to say, this book provides guidance to those who believe. Again, the word belief is, you replace it with our description of belief now, like certain, who are certain in the revelation and in the prophethood. Okay? Pay attention to this part because I will ask, how is it that belief in revelation and or certainty in revelation or certainty in prophethood is going to affect how I benefit from this book as guidance? I will ask that at the end. We'll get there. But let's start from the beginning. So this verse is saying that those muttaqi and those conscious are those who believe in revelation sent to you and sent before you, and especially of the hereafter, they are certain. The second part we will discuss later, hereafter part. Today, let's focus on what does it mean to have iman or certainty to what is revealed to prophets. Specifically, what I'm asking here is, what is iman in prophets? And what is iman or certainty in revelation? What does that mean to you?
With iman in prophets, I think that means being certain that there are those who are receiving revelation and who act as guides for us, and that the prophets are through the prophets we receive guidance to our Creator.
Okay. How certain are we that such a thing would happen? Like, imagine, of course, you're born into such an environment where many people are saying that, oh, this guy is prophet, right? Like imagine you were in 14th centuries ago, Arabian Peninsula. People are believing in idols and whatnot. And then a person comes and says, I received revelation from God. What would you say? How would you feel about it? Like, would you say, this is what I was looking for? Or would you say, are you crazy? Or what would you say? Like, how certain would you be that maybe there's something going on in you?
I think I'd probably ask questions. I'd be skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd probably ask, one, why are you the one receiving this revelation? And the second question would probably be, is this revelation that you're talking about, is it sort of consistent with what I think the guidance or revelation would look like or would sound like?
Very good. Actually, we talked about the guidance part of it before a little bit, right? When we were talking about the book, our question was, were you expecting a book in the first place, right? So maybe we can first tackle the second question here, belief in revelation.
Mm-hmm.
Do I expect a revelation? Going back to our discussion from 4 weeks before. So there, I have, or well, let's see if you remember. What would be a proper answer for that question? Like, do you expect a message, a revelation at all? We talked about this before. In the context of book, when the revelation starts saying that this is the book, we said, like if somebody comes to this room and says, this is the potato peeler, right? This was the example. So if you really needed something to peel your potatoes, the moment somebody shows it to you, you would say, aha, this is what I was looking for, right? Now somebody is opening up the conversation saying that the book. So were you expecting some sort of a guidance, book, revelation? Or if yes, why? It's going to be repetition, but we have a new person here, so it would help. Go ahead.
I think we said something about we were expecting answers to questions that we naturally have, that we think, we would have doubts, so we would have questions. And so naturally, because we have these like questions that arise, that we would expect that there is an answer to them, and we would see either the answer in in our life or in our experiences, and we would like interpret that as revelations, and then not interpret that as revelations, but kind of interpret our life and some of the things that we see in our reality as some answers to some questions, and then like seeing or reading the book or like hearing about revelation would be like, okay, that does address a question that I may have. I think we touched on something.
Okay, very nice. Yes.
I think we touched on this, but I guess like, thinking about it now, I guess you have to also be in the mindset that you can't, like you have questions that you need answers to, but you also realize that you can't find the answer yourself. I think that feels like an important component to me as well, because if you already think you know the answer, then there's no need for a book or anything to like come to you.
Yeah. Actually, we do have this expectation. Anybody has this expectation, actually. This is why they established this university, right? Like people are in the pursuit of finding answers to problems. Just consider medical school, for example. There are sicknesses, and people say that there must be a cure for that. Like we have the problem, and if you're sure that there's no answer, we wouldn't even search for it, right? But we are making a lot of investment because we feel like there must be an answer, and we are seeking for this answer. So that's why universities are made. Yeah.
I also like the example we gave of the child, like from the moment where we are born. I think that example stuck with me because it made the most sense, but also like clearest thinking is like from the moment we are born, we're born kind of questioning. Like you're hungry, there is an outcry, and then you're given milk. So like there's some sort of innate understanding, at least it seems, that I have questions, but there is an answer out there. Because like someone knew the solution to you crying means milk. Like, why couldn't it be water? But they knew it meant milk at a specific stage and then food at a specific stage. So I think like because we're also we are experiencing that there is an answer from the moment we are born, you continuously expand on that, I guess. But it made sense to me, I think, because it was such a simple example.
Yeah. So very nice. So in this life, then, we ask questions of different sorts, beginning from childhood. One example was the question of our stomach. And the answer to this question is being given. I'm intentionally using the passive tense here because child doesn't acquire the food by himself. But food is being immediate, and neither mom does, because milk is being given to mom as well. So somebody, the maker of the child, apparently, is giving the milk as a response to the cry of the child. So the need is at the stomach, and the answer is immediately given. As the child grows, fruits, animals, all sorts of food is being provided as a response to this call. Nice. But then there's this other questions that we have, which are, my mind has tons of questions. Some of them I'm trying to figure out by myself, as in the medical school here or in the university. But there are many more which we have been working on them for thousands of years, which the philosophy has been working on it. Even more fundamental questions of how did I end up in this world? What is my purpose here? Where am I going? Or even some further cries of my heart, which is, I don't want to die, but I am dying. What is the point? Like, I would like to live eternally, yet I don't. Like, this is another cry of my heart. So these requests are there, waiting for an answer. So my expectation is that whomever answered the cries, have been answering the cries of my stomach, wouldn't leave the cries of this other stomach empty. I would expect an answer to be given. But the question is, we expect this answer to be given in human language. Why in human language?
I guess if we go back to the example of the milk, everybody understands the milk, like because to the degree that if it's something a human language, like if I don't understand it, it's useless to me. So food isn't given to me in a way that I cannot digest it. There's foods that I cannot eat, but I'm also given plenty I can eat, even within that. Meaning, like there has to be a digestible portion of it, because otherwise it's not useful to me. And up until that point, I haven't been tested in a way that I cannot digest something. I think it can be hard, but if I try, I should be able to utilize and it'd be useful in answering my question. Because otherwise, there's no point to it. Like it shouldn't exist then, because it's not useful to me.
But sometimes, though, like for example, in the early days of our marriage, I used to go to what was it? This supermarket over there. No,
Acme?
no, the one. Look this way, the supermarket. Trader Joe's. I mean, Mecca Market. So I go to Trader Joe's and I used to buy flowers. I mean, she was not that convinced that I love her, but flowers is a way to convince her that I love her. It carries a message, but it was not with human words. Like it was not in spoken language, yet it was a word of flowers. Milk is a word, but not human word. But the way just the milk comes and serves the baby, if you look at it like as a mother or father now, you say that definitely this is an act of mercy. somebody that really cares about this child more than the mom that put the milk over there at the right time. This is a speech. And you can, if you are like silently, honestly seeing it, rather than just trying to look at it in a mechanistic way, you would say that definitely somebody cares about that. So there is a caring one behind the scenes. So it's a word of love, a word of caring. But the problem is that language in and of itself is not being perfectly sufficient for me, as you said. I'm not understanding sign language. This is sort of sign language that is happening in the universe. The universe itself is a sign language in this regard, really. Everything is a message if you know how to read it. But the problem is I don't. I don't know how to read it. When it comes to our communication, since the beginning of this discussion, I have been using human language. So it looks like I am made in a way that most of my communication is happening through this language. So this is why I expect my questions, a good portion of my questions, to be resolved using human language.
Salam alaikum. Can I say something?
Sure, go ahead.
I didn't know whether I should raise my hand, whether you are checking or not. So I just don't on my microphone. I apologize.
Okay, go ahead.
With this sign language, like I see where you are going, but we shouldn't lose the distinction between, like, this is not a objection, but making it even stronger. So we shouldn't lose the distinction between the direct message or direct answer, direct sustenance, and indirect ones. So what I mean with that, the milk is a direct answer to your hunger, right? Your hunger's language understand physical milk. This is the direct answer. If you talk about the food to me, when I'm hungry, it wouldn't work. So human language wouldn't work, right? The food, the physical food is the correct word or the language for hunger. This is the direct one. Indirect message in that, you then explain me how it is a manifestation of the caring or mercy. So we usually put the emphasis on the second one. So we shouldn't lose the first one. With the same logic, the flower is the language. It's not a symbolism. It is the direct language that your wife's feelings, aesthetic desires, needs understand. This is the food for her such desires. So it's not just symbolism. Symbolism is at the second level. When you talk about the how flower is a means of transmitting love, whatever. But the flower itself also is the direct language that your wife's certain faculties understand. Without flower, no matter how much you talk, especially if you talk in the way you usually talk, it will not work. So we shouldn't take it as, we need the human language because, the other one is the sign language and so on. No. The other one, what we see in this universe, the milk, flower, etc., these are direct languages, not symbolisms. Direct languages for certain things. When it comes to my question of my need of where am I going, there is no such direct language in the universe. Hence, I need another language, which happens to be a human language, that would be a direct answer to this question. I'm not sure if I was able to explain. I apologize. Inshallah, I didn't make it.
No, that's good. So that's good. That's a good point. I think I would agree with what you say. So for the practicality, it makes perfect sense. Yeah. So in this regard, then, I do have questions that I seek answer for. And those answers I do expect to come in the language format, because this is how I find myself to be seeking answers or communicating in this life anyway. But then the prophet comes into the picture here as well. Why a prophet? Like, if my maker is going to communicate to me with the language, because like it's not a matter of how God would talk. It doesn't make really sense to think about how God talks. I don't know. I am the recipient. Like when I talk to my baby, I use a language that the child can understand. Like it's going to be the language is going to be the language of the recipient's end. Like one could not simply say, or it would be really nonsense to say, what's God's language? What's a God-like talk or something? What does your maker talk like? I don't know. Like this was the point with the unseen already. But since I am the one in need, the speech is going to be in a way that I can relate to. This is why I expect the speech to be like my day-to-day speech. But why prophet? Why not, I don't know, sound comes out of a rock, or the speech is written on some tablets and just one of us finds it on top of a mountain and say, look what I found. Here is the speech. This is what we were looking for, because so far with our conversation, we are coming to the point that there must exist such a speech. And we will not only search it in the universities, meaning I am trying to figure out by myself, but I'm expecting that the speech is going to be there explicitly somewhere. But why don't we do this with archaeology, but rather expect a messenger, a human messenger? So much so that somebody comes and shows up and says, our maker talked to me in a way that I can understand, meaning speech. Let me share it with you. I'm not going to find it crazy, but I would say, indeed, I was expecting such a thing. Share it with me. Why is this the case? Or would it be the case? Let me start from there.
I don't like the initial reaction is that like I'm expecting this. Like I have questions, but I don't actually know what I'm expecting in terms of like how it's gonna get to me. The same way like I was hungry, but I didn't know how I'm actually gonna get the answer. So like it's true that I have questions about what is the purpose of my life? Why am I here? I'm sure all of us have that. However, I don't know if I knew how that need is best answered and how it should be best answered, because I'm the one asking. I don't really know the path.
Very good.
So to that degree, that means I'm open-minded. I'm at least about what's out there. Now, am I expecting a prophet? Honestly, I don't know, but I'm expecting somebody who can make me, to the degree that it fulfills the question that I have, you can convince me. I think that's the truth. It's not rather than the prophet doing etc. I'm saying like the prophet could be anyone necessarily. I'm not looking for anything particular, but what I am looking for is that these very specific questions, and to the degree that you can validate that, like I can feel like my questions was answered accurately, then I can say, then you must be quote unquote prophet. You can call it something else, but like the one who's at least has the message that I'm looking for.
Very good point. Thank you. Actually, this was a very brilliant point. So you're right. If we put ourselves in the shoes of a baby knows that there's some trouble in the stomach, there's a pain, but doesn't know what the answer is going to look like. But the moment milk enters the mouth and gets satiated, says, this is what I was looking for. Okay, then let me rephrase the question. Now that we are expecting answers like speech, revelation, if a man comes and says, here is the revelation that you were expecting, and now the revelation comes to me in the hands of a human being, would I say, aha, this is exactly what I was looking for? Actually, it makes perfect sense that the revelation is coming in the hands of a human being rather than on a tablet. Because revelation always came with a human being. It's not sometimes this way, sometimes that way, right? Like this speech type revelation. Of course, I mean, everybody receives this inspiration, like it's not the only way. But that specific revelation, the answers to those very real human questions, comes through human messengers. Would you say, oh yeah, it makes perfect sense? Yes.
I think because of the previous point that you made about the language and having and needing for this part of Revelation to be directly answering the questions that are coming up in this type of language. I think a few weeks ago we talked about like the idea of guarantee, like how are you sure, like if somebody says to you that this is like the book that has no doubt in it, you should be able to question it. You should be able to go back and forth with it and validate and like corroborate its claims. I think that because you couldn't do that to a rock, right? So that's not the language that if the revelation came on a rock, okay, but like you said, it's not the language that you need, because you need to be able to test or validate or kind of go back and forth and understand, first of all, this person, are they a prophet? Are they showing any signs of that they would be in a position where God can speak to them or would speak to them, and why then? And then you can kind of like have like a dialogue or an interlocutor between you and the person who is and the one who is sending the message. So I feel like that's I guess the advantage, or that's the benefit of having this revelation sent through a prophet, because like we are seeing this as a book and we are now reading it as a book, but that's not how it was sent. It was sent through someone. I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of somebody who is just discovering this person and the message that they're being sent with little by little. And so I'm trying to, so you're like kind of dialoguing with someone who is speaking to Allah, or having Allah speak to them, and then you're able to go back and forth with them. As if it was a wall or a rock or an object, you wouldn't be able to do that. So that's the language that it's coming.
Actually, if we go with what Birkan was saying, so he said the questions are being answered in the language. It's not symbolism. But there are other aspects of human being who is going to receive the message within this speech as well. For example, I can tell you the verse, we came from him, or we are coming from him, and we go back to him. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. This is a verse. And it's a verse which we keep reciting when we hear the sad news of somebody passing away, right? It's a verb. And but if your most beloved parent or child passes away, I speak the word. Does the word really sink into you, or would you say, what are you talking about? You didn't go through this pain. How would you know? Right? Like the word itself would carry a certain meaning, but to a certain degree. But if you see a person, a teacher, who lived through that event in his life, in her life, but really lived through this verse himself in the first place, then that message really strikes you. You say that, oh, this is how that message is embodied. This is how this message is lived. Because really, what is the point of this message? This is a message to be a guidance for my life. When a beloved is passing away, it's a huge thing in life. that's heaven. So how do you live by it? So a prophetic example in this case, so prophet simply becomes, in a sense, going with Birkan's comment. Revelation is speech in language. Prophet is speech in human form, in a sense. Like embodied message in human looks like this person. If you were looking for a message to be embedded in a life, look at this life. This is how message appears on a life. Because this is what I would like to do. Like, what's the goal? It was saying that this is guidance for people. I want to be guided. I want to, because I have a lot of troubles in life, I want to be guided. This is what somebody who digested guidance looks like. So the book is coming with, the revelation is coming with a companion who embodied, who digested, who learned the content to utmost degree. So it's not coming from a rock, it's coming from someone like you and me who went through it in his life and is now being like pretty much like a TA in our example. Somebody who took the class before becomes a TA. And those TAs are like practical. This is a practical example. TAs are helping students quite well because they really went through the same assignments. They know the pitfalls. They can relate to you. And when students talk to them, they say, oh, the teacher, like he's just flying over. But this guy is really went through it, so explains it, dumbs it down to my level. I can relate to that person. So this relationship makes the message lively, livable. This is why messenger, like prophets, were not angels. Actually, interestingly, in Quran, repetitively, people say, shouldn't you be an angel? Like to many prophets, the disbeliever, meaning a person who has a precondition not to accept the message, as a counter-argument to messengers, historically have said, shouldn't you be an angel? You're just like a human being like us. Like this was because the message should be higher. But actually, the point of messenger is someone who digested the message in their lives, benefited from it. Because if you practically look at all the prophetic stories in Quran of the previous messengers, or the life of Prophet Muhammad, you will see that like both parents passed away, uncle passed away, grandfather, all the protectors passed away. All but one child passed away before he died. Like he buried all his children. The most beloved wife passed away. Many things are happening in his life. Attended wars, got victory, got also lost battles, fought in multiple facets of life. He was hungry. He was like every facet of life you observe that he went through in this life. And this person really lived the message. So this is why when I am, actually now this is going to take me to my next question. How does these two beliefs affect how I receive revelation, guidance from revelation? Like, what if, because it's not black and white, by the way. We should read it as, to the extent that I am convinced that there must be a speech, to the extent that I am convinced this human is a prophet, and then, of course, what is prophet, what is revelation, these descriptions will evolve over time. But to the extent of these meanings, guidance will become guidance for me. But why and how? Karim says, don't you need to verify the man and the revelation? This is another point. This is another point that's correct. So how do I know that if the man came with a message, how do I know that this man is really carrying the message of my creator? Like, how do I verify that? Because once I establish that it makes perfect sense that there must be a human being, but then how do I know if this message is the message of my creator, which is coming in the hand of a man, who just seems to be yet another man, right? How do I know that? And this can go back to two things. The first one is when we were discussing this book is upon which there's no doubt. It's a huge challenge, right? The book is saying that you won't find anything doubtable in here, which means since the existence, the life that I live, is speech in a different form, like a flower is a speech, sunrise is another speech, a newborn baby is another speech, revelation is another speech. They are coming from the same source. So whatever is in revelation needs to be matching whatever is happening in the life. So that is verifiable. So in one sense, then, if whatever the person brings in as revelation contradicts the existence, then I would say this is a liar. Number two, the prophet during his lifetime showed miracles. But what is a miracle? Miracle is yet another word, another, like the example is, if somebody says, I am the envoy of the king. The king can say, yes, he is, verbally. Or the king can say, as a sign for this, I'm going to change the way I act normally. Like, I used to be acting in a certain way, but to confirm that this person, Ali, to confirm that this person is my messenger, on behalf of me, I'm going to act different. Like, for instance, among the many miracles that Prophet had, normally, if you pour, I don't know, 1 gallon of water here, 1 water of gallon will come out of here. Like if I pour 1 gallon of water from top of my hand, 1 gallon of water will come out of there, right? Preservation of mass. But Prophet, the army was
Hungry.
lack of water, what is thirsty. So he brings in a small bucket of water, but then pours it, and then hundreds of people come and drink from the water, and it doesn't end. What does this say? This person is speaking, like this act is I'm going to use sign language if Brother Birkan doesn't hit my head, but since he is away. So by act, the Creator is saying that what this person says, I confirm him by action. So this is why miracles, any miracle of any prophet was a confirmation that the Creator of this universe is acting. So he is confirming by action. But of course, one can argue that both miracles were visible for the people of their time. How about me here? This is why we are left with mostly the speech as the miracle, the speech as something that I'm going to confirm this reality, this message. Okay. So going back to, okay, one last question before I ask my final question. The verse in here is also saying that for the muttaqin who believe in revelation sent to you and sent before you. So the question is, how can you be certain that there had been prophets before Prophet Muhammad? How can you be certain that there had been revelation before Quran without seeing them? Or, I mean, the common thing that we are saying nowadays is what? And I mean, nowadays, Quran says this too. We have Torah, like we have Bible, Torah, and many more prophets passed before. And we say we believe in them, but we say, well, the ones that we have today are corrupt. So I don't believe in this one, but I believe in the original one, which I've never seen before. Like, what does it mean to believe in something that you have never seen in this case? Again, right? It's another case of belief in not seen, but what does that even mean? Yes.
I guess it's comes back to my own needs that have been fulfilled because I can only extrapolate from how I've been served or whatever, how I've lived my life. So my side. So to the degree that I've lived in this life and have gotten answer, I have no reason to think because like whoever was helping me and guiding my life wasn't asleep in prior because then they're not powerful if they're taking like naps in the middle and then waking up to serve specific population in a specific period of time. So I have no reason to doubt that if you can guide me in this life, that you can guide another millions, billions before me in the same manner, in the way that's appropriate for them. So I guess that is based on my own life and my own perception of how I'm living my life and how I'm being guided.
To the extent that I do observe and I do benefit from it, and now that I established this relationship with my maker and I'm happy with it, I said, oh, he guided me. I needed guidance and he provided guidance to me. I needed a messenger and he provided a messenger to me. And I'm content and happy with this. Then I say the same must have happened for the ones that he created before me. No doubt about this. And you said it very perfectly. According to their understanding level, they must have received revelation as well. Because humanity is improving in knowledge and whatnot. This is why different teachers and revelations had come before. It's not that, like, since the audience have changed, revelation gradually improved over time. It's not like improving because the audience changed. The content of the main content of the revelation has always been the same, but the way it is conveyed has been upgrading, if you like, because the capacity of humanity is increasing. And this is not a technical upgrade such as, like, now we understand better or something. This is how we are, just like this child, like this is a 3.5-year-old, this is a 6-year-old. The way I talk to a 3.5, when she gets 6, I'm speaking in a slightly better way that now that she can understand more. So still it's same concepts in me, metaphorically speaking, but I am speaking in a way that now that she can understand better, I'm updating my language. So, but I would be sure that as I am guided, the previous people must have been guided. Because otherwise, it's not being too helpful to say that, do you believe in Bible? I mean, that's generally how it was in Sunday school, right? You say, yeah, I believe in Bible. And then I say, is this Bible? No, not this one. Like, this is the corrupted one. I believe in the one that was original. Have you seen the original? No, I haven't. So what do you mean that you are certain about the original Bible that you have never seen it? Right. It starts becoming fishy. As if, again, I'm just trying to put a check mark to the visa application, right? I'm going to get into paradise. I just need to put a check mark over there. So yeah, whatever they put before me, I was assigned it. So this is not the point. So, but this gives me this, well, now we can ask that question. What is its relevance to me? Why is that among the description of muttaqin? What I mean by that, how does these two beliefs or convictions affect me benefiting from the book as guidance? Because the book was saying that this is guidance to those who have this certainty. How would it affect? This is crucial, actually. This is why, and it's very beautiful that it's at the very beginning of Quran. It is setting expectations. Once I was talking to a teacher, and he mentioned one thing that I've never paid attention to before. Said, just read the when it comes to interpretations or translations of Quran, look at the preface and see what does the translator's definition of Quran. Because really, according to your definition or understanding of Quran, you will interpret it. If you think about it just like a book which has scientific miracles, for you it simply is like a science book. Or if for a person it is like a good book with moral lessons, then maybe it's going to help you like some Western literature, which also has moral lessons in it, right? But to the extent that you see, as it has been coming before, now, having certainty in the unseen, the existence of a maker, a creator. Now it also talked about a prophet and a messenger, and a revelation. How are these convictions shape how you benefit from this guidance? What do you think? This has been described among the description of the student, the ideal student who will benefit from this book. What's the relationship? Yes.
Can I give an example of a classroom? I guess like if you're taking a class, for example, and it's on your core class, you have to do it. You have no interest in doing it. You don't think you're going to get it. You enter that class. You're just working on your computer. You're doing whatever you want. Like you're not going to get anything out of it because you came in with the mental, like the thought that this is a useless class. I just have to get through it to get my credit. Like check mark. I read my Quran. Move on. And there's another student it's a core class, but I want to at least I don't want to waste my time. I want to be able to understand at least why this class is made a core class. Like these people have made this the core class. They could have chosen any other. So let me see what's in it then. Mm-hmm. So to the degree that I'm curious enough to enter that class and think about why it was set up the way it's set up, obviously I invest more time and energy into trying to understand it also, which means I will have at least a better understanding that the student who came in opened the laptop and said, let me just get that credit.
Yeah, very nice. And now this is a book. Very good analogy. This is a book from who? From God. Who is God? How much am I conscious about God? What does that mean? Is it a God who exploded the Big Bang, set the system up, and now left it over? Like, is this my understanding of a God? He set the system, loaded the system with properties so that it can function by itself. I don't know what he's doing right now, or even there's a now for him or whatever, but such a distant God. Versus a maker who is closer to me than my jugular vein. What does that mean? This is how Quran portrays. But what does that even mean? A creator that's closer to you than your jugular vein. A creator who is not even missing, again, as the Quran describes it, not even a single leaf falls down without our knowledge, like this leaf making this weird back and forth and falling down. Every single motion of this leaf is within his knowledge. What does this mean? Well, I thought my life was like someone who is aware of me since what I have been going through since the morning. Is this a God that you are convinced about? If you're convinced about such a creator, and in this discussion, it will take time to say why, but let's skip that part. If the one that's speaking in here is someone who knows every single thing, not only knows, but also does every single thing, and speaks as such, then the interpretation will change, right? Now, Mukhtar is sitting there, and I make a comment, let's say, and he thinks that I know nothing about him, right? So he is just applying my comments with, as a person who has no knowledge of what he has been going through today. But if he realizes that actually I had this app running on his phone with which I have been listening to him for the past 4 years, he would first be shocked. Then he would say, all the comments that he made, was it about me at this point? Like, you will start getting a little uneasy. If you think that other than listening to you, if you also are convinced that I am so wise of a person, meaning not only I eavesdrop on you, but also I am so knowledgeable, then every word that comes out of my mouth, you would say, how does it apply to me, right? So really the consciousness of belief in the unseen affects how I benefit from the revelation, number one. Number two, when it comes to speech, like belief in speech, revelation, and belief in prophets, how would this change the extent of how I benefit from the scripture? Because I know people who are literally saying that messenger was just like a postman. Like, he was a trustworthy guy. He brought the message. He received it from God, gave it to us without altering it. Good for him. But now I will take the revelation and I will study it by myself. I mean, there are people like that. I might partially be like this as well. What I mean is, to what extent really am I benefiting from this prophetic example when I am receiving guidance from the book? Because apparently it says, the book is saying that you will benefit more to the extent that you realize what a prophet is, who a prophet is. Right?
I think to the extent that when we think about the mindset of Lumutaqin, the consciousness, and being in a situation where you can receive revelation, I think the prophets and having certainty in the prophets, it sort of affects where you seek the application of that revelation. So you were describing a little earlier about, you interpret things differently if you feel that someone who's telling you information has gone through the same experience that you've gone through. And having certainty in the prophets and the prophets that came before is sort of the example that is being set with the guidance that I'm giving you this information. And it's not just because, I think having the prophets is a further proof or sign that God is knowing of all of us.
Mm-hmm. And to the extent that the prophet is not just, we skipped this part a little too quick, but who would be prophet? At the end of the term, what I do, I send email to my current students saying that, would you become my TA for the next term, please? These are the best ones, though. Like, I don't send this email to the student who cheated the entirety of the term, who was shopping during the class time and whatnot. I sent this email to student who was the most active during class time, who really asked the questions whenever they didn't understand and then appreciated the answer, did the assignments and everything. Right? So the messenger, like this common wisdom, how I would do with the wisdom that's given to me. I would expect that the revelation must be given to someone who would appreciate the revelation the most in the first place and must have digested the revelation the best. Now, how does this affect my benefit from the guidance? When I look at the life of the messenger, I will read it with side by side with the revelation itself. Like, this person behaved as such in such a circumstance. How does this match with the message that's there? How did that person interpret this verse? Because it is embodiment of revelation, right? Like, he thoroughly understand and applied it so that when it comes to my case, which is going to be slightly different, like Prophet didn't live in an age where there was Instagram, right? Or social media. The circumstances were different. I can make parallels, but I'm in a slightly different situation in Philadelphia. I'm not living in a desert environment. So many, like the tribal relations, everything is different. But what I can do though, is this person digested the revelation and in such and such circumstances interpreted this verse like that. Thoroughly understand. Now it comes to my life and I say, how do I pattern match now? And in my circumstances, how can I apply the same pattern to a different circumstance? Like in this case, really understanding prophet as someone who is guided by the creator, but also he was not like a simple parrot, in the sense that parrots do not understand what they speak. They just echo. The human beings they can still echo what is being said verbally, but also understand and digest it. Because prophet not only echoed the word in his mouth, but echoed the meaning in his life to the extent that I am convinced that this person thoroughly understood what he did, then I can implement it in my life. Because I'm not living the same life as the prophet did. So really, how much I benefit from the guidance is going to change according to how much I am convinced about messenger as well. This is why it is among the description of muttaqin. Belief in prophet and the revelation. It only mentions revelation, but revelation revealed to you means as a messenger. So it's implicit in the verse itself. Belief in prophethood is implicit in here. And inshallah, next week, which is going to be our last class, I believe, or maybe we have one more. We'll talk about, this is going to be,
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, it'll likely be the last class in Spark, because afterwards they'll be closed.
Okay. So then in the last discussion next week, we will talk about the sort of the last highlight of muttaqin, the conscious. They are especially certain about afterlife. And how can one be especially certain about afterlife? Number one, because we die and nobody came back. Number two, how is this certainty is going to affect my benefit from the guidance, the book itself? And tying it back to what I was saying a few minutes ago, that teacher of mine saying, pay attention to, in the preface of those translations of Quran, what is the description or the mental model of the translator for Quran, for prophet, because it will thoroughly shape what they understand. Now Quran is shaping me and saying that to the extent that you fit in these proper conviction categories, then you will benefit from Quran accordingly, benefit from guidance accordingly. This is why over time, your understanding of belief in God will improve. Prophet, revelation, afterlife will improve. Same speech is going to mean more to you throughout your lifetime. This is why the same verse won't be the same verse for you. This is why it's not like just a, rule book that you read once and you're done with it. You learned it. Why would you repeat it again, right? So any concluding remarks?
Your phone raises again.
Somebody raise his hand. Brother Birkan.
Oh, Assalamu alaikum.
Go ahead.
So then tying back to at the very beginning, we said there's no doubt in the scripture or in this book. There's certainty, right? We talk about the iman, yu'minu, be the certainty. Tying all these back, all this discussion today and last week about the prophet to this point. This is like and that was a comment, by the way. I don't know if you read it or not, but should we also verify the guy who claimed to be prophet and the message? That was the question, including this as well. The Quran is telling us as if whatever I will instruct you in this book, whatever I give you as a guidance, there is no doubt in it because it was revealed to a human being who could, check it in his own life, whether if it really works or not. And it didn't stop there. He studied it, he applied it himself, and it worked. And also the people around him believed in the sense, the iman again, right? We discussed not just believing, but having the certainty. People around him believed him, have the certainty about what he claims as a guidance. They applied in their lives. It worked. The same way the ayah says we believe in what is revealed to you and what is revealed before you, right? You can take it as also whatever is revealed and tested by previous generations of me, the companions, the people coming after companions and after them as tabi'un, etc., right? You can take it as this way as well. Whoever took the message as the guidance, tested it, tried it in their lives by practically living it, and it worked for them. Now I'm testing it myself, and I will see whether it really works or not. And by this way, I will verify it. And by this way, I will see that there's no doubt that it really works. Just like our example with the milk. With the milk, when Creator sends milk, Creator says the same thing, right? As we studied the first ayah. There is no doubt in milk that it will satisfy your thirst or hunger. That's the claim. What you do, you drink the milk as a baby or the food as an adult, and your hunger is satisfied. So for you, there's no doubt that the food is the guidance or is the answer to your questions, to your needs. There's no doubt. Whether you are the proud believer or proud atheist, nobody would say, oh, there's actually doubt that the food is the answer to the hunger. No, there's no doubt. The same way, it should be at least the same way. That's the claim in Quran. Whatever is given as the guidance for your life, for your humanity, your questions, there will be no doubt. Just apply it just like the Prophet did. Follow his path, and you will be 100% sure. You will bear witness. Like we say, ashhadu. Now you will say it, that I really bear witness that it works and there's no doubt. So I use the word claim, just to provoke, because we should take it as with some, with such feelings. The bar is always so high with Quran. As some silly people claims, they say, oh yeah, the belief or Muslims are they just, what is it, the word, the dogmatic. They just believe whatever they hear and so on. No, with the Quran, just the opposite. The bar is so high, making all these huge claims, saying that whatever I give you in this book, it's guidance. When you apply in any society, in any time, in any human being, there will be no doubt that it will work and make them better. Now you can verify this yourself.
Jazakallah khairan. Very good. Brother, we contained it nice. So let's conclude here, inshallah. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.